I mentioned to the players that if you're a backup, the way some of this has gone this year, make sure that you understand what's going on. Make sure you know the game plan. We've had so many players that have had to come in and play, and one of the most difficult things for young players to do is to prepare like they're going to be a starter when they're in a backup role. And that held, unfortunately, that held true today. And I think some of those guys came in and played pretty good. That, you know, I'd mentioned, hey, you better be ready in case some guys get dinged up. So without watching the tape, it looked like guys competed, played hard. I mean, obviously, defensively, we gave up 2 big runs. We actually rushed the ball better on offense. In fact, it's probably the best rushing game we've had maybe all year or in a long time. But we gave up 2 big runs in the third quarter, which everybody knows. That was an issue. And you know, we have to look and see what happened. We obviously would like to get that cleaned up. Turnovers were about the same. Jason Taylor obviously continues to be in the right spot and make plays. Field goal kicker was good again, you know, in the conditions, did a good job with that. And then Ollie was able to come in and make some runs. Nice job of rushing the ball. We lost Jaden, and so DeAndre came in and got some carries. You know, he averaged over 4.5 a carry. Ollie averaged 8 yards a carry, so that was encouraging for us. And you know, I thought Rangel competed. You know, obviously it wasn't a great day to throw passes, but you know, he competed and made some plays. And you know, there's some times he missed some throws and stuff. But overall, you know, it's a tough one for us. They made a few more plays than we did, and they called a few more successful plays than we did. But I did tell the team that you know, they're going to get a week off. They need a week off. We need a week off. We need to recover a little bit, try to get a few guys back maybe that have not played in a while, and looking forward to getting started back up. They get to play one more game together, and want them to practice well, be enthusiastic, and try to play the best game they played in a few months. You know, we might be able to get a few more people back, which would be good if we can get some guys healthy over the next couple weeks. Give them a chance to compete and go out and play the best game they played in a few months. We can get a few guys back. And I told them I appreciated their effort, which I did.
Mike, was Spencer unavailable today, or what was the decision to not play him?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, yes.
You're at the end now of a 7-5 season. Obviously, you were ranked in the top 10 at one point this year. What's your takeaway from this year at this point?
We just haven't stayed healthy. We don't have enough guys to practice, and it's difficult to mix and match. And when you don't have guys, somebody told me that we had 22 first game starters this year. Normal season we have 6 or 7. I would say that would be the biggest issue.
Are those injuries just bad luck, or do you think there's something else to it?
On what?
Are those injuries just bad luck, or do you think there's something else?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I've not ever had a season like this, so I wish I knew what it was. I'm hoping it's bad luck.
Mike, when you said you've had 22 first-game starters, normally 6 or 7, exactly what do you mean by that?
For a young man to be a starter in a game the first time in his career.
Oh, okay, I got it. Okay.
Coach, I know you mentioned how you thought the running game was the best all season, but I know you said the running game was the best all season. Why do you feel like it was so late? Like, you have the running game emerge, but it's the last game of the regular season.
Well, we've been working on it. We just haven't seen any results, but we rushed the ball better today. We covered guys up. You guys are up higher than I am. You watched it. Looked like there were some creases in there. Guys could get up in there and, you know, run a little bit. We hadn't had many creases in about 6 weeks. But it looked like there were some creases in there, and the backs could kind of get up there and run it a little bit.
Do you feel like the creases just from the opponent, or maybe the offensive line figuring out the game plan?
I think we blocked better up front. I think we covered guys up. It didn't look like to me from ground level that we turned guys loose in the backfield. Maybe a couple times, but, I mean, we'd been doing it 8, 10, 12 times a game. It looked like to me we covered guys up a little better.
You mentioned
Ollie. We've seen flashes of him this season make big plays, but was there something different with him today, or is it just kind of a build-up for a freshman?
I'm not sure. What do you mean different?
Success he had today, because we've seen flashes, but he put it all together.
Yeah. Well, he had a lot of carries, right? So Dom wasn't available, and then Jaden went out. So 0 and 4's reps go up, and he ends up with 17 carries. So he got a chance to roll into it pretty good. Hopefully, it's a build-up. I guess I'm agreeing with you. Hopefully, but he ran pretty good today.
Mike, you talked about the weather. How difficult were the conditions for the passing game? Early first quarter, I think the first 2 or 3 possessions, you had a chance for a big play, and the passes were just a little bit off.
Right. In the third quarter and the fourth quarter, it wasn't much fun for passing. You can do it, but it's not real easy. Early in the game, really, the weather wasn't a factor, in my opinion. So I would say second half, yes. First half, not really.
On the 2-point play, you ran a wheel route to Ollie. You did something similar on this first fourth down down here. Was that something scheme-wise you saw going into the week, and why did it not show up?
Well, it's different. Depends on how they play us defensively. You have in most of your concepts you have a zone side and a man side, and those are concepts that are drawn up based on what you see on tape.
Garrett Rangel was better today than he was at Kansas?
Gosh, I would have to, based on the things we do with quarterbacks, it'd be somewhat unfair for me to say that without watching the tape. Because I can't see as well from ground level some of the things that he's trying to get accomplished from a read standpoint.
Mike, the season to take a turn regardless of circumstances from 6-1, and you guys looking so impressive and ballsy against Texas to finishing the way you do. Is that frustrating to see it unfold that way, regardless of injuries and all that stuff?
No, not frustrating. I'm aware of what's going on. I know the situation, and so my job is to evaluate what's available for us and where we're at, evaluate coaches and concepts and schemes based on the availability of players. This was a little unusual because we had some availability that would be up through the week and then not at the end of the week, and so that kind of threw us curveballs at time. But overall, I'm not frustrated. The only time that I would get frustrated is if our guys weren't competing and playing hard, and I have not seen that this year. And I'm fairly certain I did not see that today. Now there's times, for example, when we give up a big run. We got scooped, we got out of our gap. Okay, I get it. Our technique needs to be better. We need to stay square with our shoulders. But without watching the tape, I don't know that it was anything to frustrate me. We just need to continue to coach and get better. If we get beat on a pass protection, okay, our technique needs to be better. A throw, a read, a drop, so on and so forth. But not frustrated. I understand the situation. I know what's going on, so it gives me a little bit of an advantage.
Could you follow up on Spencer? Could you clarify he wasn't available this week?
I'm not sure really how to answer that anymore. It just depends on how he feels and kind of where our medical people are. And it's not an injury that's black and white. It's a gray area, so you just kind of roll with it as it goes.
With it being senior day's kind of weird now with the extra year. Do you start having conversations now that the season's over with guys like Spencer about what their future kind of looks like?
No, I don't have those conversations. Those a little bit different times today. These players have conversations with their family and their representatives, and at some point they'll let us know 2-3 weeks from now probably. But I don't get involved in those conversations.
Why don't you want to be involved?
What am I going to say? I'm not. It's their future. It's their career. They'll have a representative. They'll have family members that'll have thoughts on what they want to do, and the head coach is really not a factor in that.
Mike, you threw deep quite a bit. Did you see something schematically? You were hoping you never hit one, but you kept.
We were close a bunch.
You got close a bunch.
Yeah.
It looked like you thought you had.
Yeah, and we did really. We had chances. Close doesn't do any good, but part of it is, you offset it to balance it for the run, and you take your shots. And we had a number. I'm going to go, I don't know, 4 or 5 times we had a chance. We were really, really close there to making a play. We just didn't get it accomplished.
Has Rangel shown you enough in the case that Spencer is one of those guys that doesn't return? Has he shown you enough to be confident in the future?
Has Rangel shown me what?
Has he shown you enough to give you confidence and he could be the guy going forward if Spencer doesn't come back?
Well, yeah, he's a good young player, yeah.
Mike, speaking of other good young players, Kendall Daniels went down, but Lyric Rawls stepped in. What do you think of his performance?
Well, he was one of the ones I was talking about. He had to play significant snaps, and I think he did fine. But again, it's a little more complicated for me to see on ground level exactly what responsibility was and what he was able to get accomplished. But it seemed like he did okay.
Jason Brooks was another guy that came in the middle of the game, and I know you talked about how high he was grading out before he went down. I know it's hard to see what one guy does during the game in live action, but any thoughts on that?
I thought he played aggressive. I kind of watched him a little bit. He only practiced about half of one day this week, but we felt like that he had been very competitive and had some aggressiveness to him, so we wanted to put him in. And I watched him a little bit. I thought he did fine, and hopefully he'll be fine to practice in a week. I kind of hold my breath on some of these guys, but I think he did pretty good from an aggressive standpoint and helped us out a little bit.
Overall, your defense gave up 3 big plays. That's how West Virginia scored. Other than that, did you feel like they played a fairly dominant game?
They played good. I don't know. I wouldn't say dominant, but I didn't want to bring it up because it is what it is. Every play counts. But we gave up 2 big plays. Well, no, 3 because the quarterback run. You're right. And bad news is they count. But other than that, we played pretty good. So got out of our gap on the second level, and so we got to do a better job of that. But they were competitive. They challenged throws better than what we had done in really the last month. We challenged throws. We made it more difficult for them to complete passes, and that helped us. So we just got to clean those things up and work hard to get better in the bowl game. Try to be more sound in those areas and not give up big plays.
Your quarterback went out. Did that change anything from your defensive standpoint?
Not really. Obviously, we knew a little bit about 6. We didn't know much about 8. But they ran with him some of the same concepts they were trying to run with the other guy. So I don't really think there was anything that changed much in my opinion.
Coach, going back to the running game, I know you talked a lot about musical chairs. What are some of the differences in having like an experienced running back with the offensive line like Dominic Richardson this season compared to some of the younger guys with the offensive line like you saw today?
Oh, I think it is what it is, right? So, Ollie was a young guy and played good today and got a lot of yards. But what happened to us is not having the ability for the same group of guys to practice during the week for the season, or at least most of the guys. And the consistency there hasn't been there for about 6 weeks. And then we had but we had an unusual setup where we went through the same thing with the running back position. So you've got guys there that are practicing, some not practicing, and running backs are practicing, some are not practicing. But we actually got out of it pretty good today and did a little bit better. But the consistency has not been much, and so that's why I'm hoping maybe we can get a couple weeks of practice for the bowl with the same guys, and that'd be nice to get some work. I don't think we had any offensive linemen get hurt today that I know of.
Besides the getting healthier, what are you looking for in between now and the bowl game?
Well, they need a week off. They're going to get a week off. Coaches, will be able to can't go on the road yet, but do some recruiting and catch up there. And we've got official visits and things going on. But the players need a break. We had a pretty early open date this year, so it's been a while since they've had a break. They need some time away from us. They need to do volunteer lifting if they want to lift, and if they're beat up, heal up a little bit. Classes, We've got a couple weeks left of school. They need to buckle down there to make sure we don't slip up anywhere academically. And it's good for them to get away from us and kind of clear their mind a little bit. It's good for them. And it's good for the coaches. It's a grind for everybody in college football, but honestly, we just kind of need a break. And then I told them, I'll tell you the same thing I told them. I'm excited about you guys coming back and having 2 really good weeks of practice and playing a good bowl game. I look forward to that. And I don't know, people want me to be upset and throw a fit about losing, but I just don't see it that way with where we're at because guys are still competing. And when they do that, and I want to win, I guess I need to clarify that. It's important to me to win also, but it's also important for me in my position to understand where we're at and what's going on, and then allow our team to get a break and come back and clear their minds and be fresh. And they need to enjoy the 2 weeks of practice or 2.5, whatever we get based on where we go, and go compete and have fun and play hard. You don't get these days back. We get to play one more game in a bowl game. They need to enjoy that process and go play their ass off.
You're not one of those coaches that have gone crazy on 4th down, but you did go for it on 4th and 1 in a tie game. What led to that decision?
Do you want an honest opinion, or you just want me to give you the crowd? They kept saying to go for it. I listened, and I just said, I guess they're right. We'll go for it. I'm usually pretty tuned into that. And to be fair, I was teetering one way or the other. And you guys you've been around a long time. You have some inconsistency in the offensive line. You're playing at the freshman quarterback, and it's wet outside. It's a bad combination for going for 4th and 2, whatever it was. But I thought, well, I don't know, maybe they want to go for it. Let's go for it. And so the combination of both of that, honestly, that's why I said, all right, let's roll.
He threw 42 today. That number seems a little high given the elements? Garrett throwing 42 passes. Does that seem a little high given the elements and the inexperience?
We felt like that we needed to be able to try to balance out some of our issues rushing the ball. And so we felt like if we could try to get a little more depth and width with the defense, with passes, it might open up a little bit of running game. And I'm not so sure that it didn't work. And then a little bit of those numbers will be inflated because of the last possessions, like we're behind, and he probably threw it 10 times in the last 15 plays. So it got inflated a little bit based on being behind and trying to conserve the clock. Good. All right. Thank you.